We here, season 4, virtually of the Motivators Table podcast. Thank you, Los Angeles Tribune, for signing me, for finding the kid out the rough, giving me just the opportunity just to display my skills and what I love to do and what God put me on the earth to do. Thank you, Riverside, for giving me a platform. And thank you, Motivators. It's time to mount up. We at the Motivators Table today, the last podcast episode of the week, and we got a new guest. We got Miss Anastasia. What's going on, Anastasia? How you been? How's everything?
I'm
How's
good.
good?
Yeah.
So let's
Hey,
bring
thank
her,
you so much.
bring
Thank
her.
you so much for having me here.
That's it. We bring you up. There we go. We wanted to bring you on and spotlight you. You a motivator. You out there trying to get into public speaking. You work in the security industry. You're a veteran. You're doing a lot of things. Tell me first of all where you came from. Who are you at your core?
Oh boy. By the way, thank you so much for having me here.
Yes.
Yeah, and then this was like providing this opportunity for me, just actually connect with a fellow veteran. And like a fellow veteran, right?
Yes.
U.S. Army retired, 20
Yep.
years. I spent 10 years on active duty and 10 years in the National Guard, California National Guard. And I was a WMD analyst in the military all 20 years.
Okay.
The accent is from Ukraine. So I still have family, if you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a story of its own that we can get into a little bit later. And, but I came to America in 2000 and joined the military 2003. Just 19 years old, shipped out, and like first duty station was Germany, then I did Germany, Texas, Hawaii, Washington, North Carolina, and two deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan, the whole typical soldier life, right? And that was all in 10 years. And that's what you get for being single in the military. They just toss you around all over the place.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I decided, well, while I was on active duty, I got my bachelor's degree in forensic psychology, and right, right after, right after active duty, I moved to California to get my master's degree, and my master's is in nonproliferation and terrorism studies, and with a Russian language and Russia-Ukraine relations aspect. And I was like, I really like the military, so I joined the National Guard in California. Did all these different activities within the National Guard and like deployments for different disasters, and that's another reason I kind of got into the disaster work. And as then I worked for NASA for quite a bit as well, for about like 4.5 years as emergency manager. And I retired a couple years ago. So, oh, just got my second master's degree too. I guess I should have put that out. You know, okay, so let me tell you something. I'm like an onion. The more layers you peel, the more makes you want to cry, right?
Yeah.
If you know the Shrek reference.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We gonna get underneath the layers. No, first of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you have done. You joined a year after me. I joined in 2002 in Los Angeles County. You left there. I appreciate everything you have done. But you said, we're gonna hit on Ukraine and everything like that. But you said you were stationed in Germany. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
I spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Oh, nah, okay. Yeah, you do. Okay. So, what part of Germany was you in?
I was in Hanau. It's like
And
yeah, right outside of Frankfurt.
I was in Schweinfurt, Bamberg, Wurzburg area, right there.
Oh, I
So I
love
did it.
him.
I was
Yes.
from there from 02. So I joined, yeah, 03 to 2005. I was part of Big Red One. My first deployment was from Germany. We
Oh,
used to go to Black Sounds. We used to go all these clubs out there like Black Sounds, the Matrix, all these things out there. So you're probably familiar with. I had started a little party crew out there. It was called Live Wire Entertainment. That was us.
oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
We were there at the same time.
Yes, I know. That's crazy. Yes.
I left Germany in 2005.
I
Yeah,
left
like,
Germany too to go to Fort Bliss, and I got there '06.
okay. I went to Fort Hood right after Germany.
So
So
we,
we were like really there at the same time. And, remember the K-Town?
yes, K Town. Yes.
Yeah.
I just taught me.
So, Yeah,
Yeah.
Kaiserslautern. So what? So we deactivated a unit in Germany. I was part of the oh my god, I think it was 69th Chemical Company, and uh, we were the Ironsides.
Okay, yeah, Old Ironsides, yes.
Yeah, old Ironsides.
Yeah.
And so when we were deactivating the unit, we had to. I remember those deuce and a half, like not
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So they really old school the stick
Yeah.
shift, and
Yeah.
I was the only one that really knew how to drive a stick shift at the time. So when we were deactivating the company, we had to drive those trucks all the way to K-Town, right? And as we're driving it, because it had air brakes, and then one of the air brakes just like pipe broke, so I had no brakes as going down a hill, and on Autobahn, and I kind of like I had my sergeant right next to me, and I was a private back then, right?
Mhm.
And I had my sergeant right next to me, and I just kind of looked at him. I was like, you know, we're gonna roll, right? He's like, well, you better hold on. And guess what? Yeah, so we went like up a little hill, and I went, on the shoulder, and there was another hill, and we just like and rolled. So our mission ended up being like 16 hours because we had to wait for, the crane to come out and all that stuff, and we didn't get hurt, but the truck did.
Wow, man. On the
So
Autobahn, I know exactly how that, you know what I'm saying, how them fit that feel because I remember we used to go that way to our field problems to Vilsec and Graf.
oh, that yeah, and then oh my God, Germany.
Yeah, Germany brings back some memories, right? So many memories.
Oh, so one of the best memories I have is because Germany was my first duty station, right? And
Mm.
it's after basic training, after you get all kinds of like terrorized in basic and got molded in to be a soldier, and you're like standing there in the very first formation, like it was like 5:30 in the morning, and having in Germany that little fog, like,
Yeah,
and then smell of pine, and a little coffee in the distance, right? And this is the first time I realized in my life that I can make choices. Because, in basic training and AIT, like they just give you this duffel bag and then they issue out, all of the feelings that you need to have. And that was the first time that I just stood there and I was like, I can burn bridges if I want to. I can build bridges. I can just be myself and who I want to be within limitations, obviously, military ones. But that was like 19 years old, standing there and realizing that I'm by myself in another foreign country. So making choices.
right. Wow, crazy, right? So we a kid, join the military, and then they ship us to our first duty station, which was Germany, and Germany was an eye opener for me. Everything I had heard, what I saw in movies was not what I saw there. Actually, that was one of the rare duty stations that I literally, it was cohesion. I had fun. I built a lot of camaraderie, and I lost a lot of good friends from that deployment there, and I still remember them to this day. And we used to, because on the weekends we go party. We go party at the clubs, go party at Natrix, Black Sounds, Megadrome, Vamoose,
Mm.
all these clubs that we would go to, that everybody would go to on Thursday, the Fun Tower, Thursdays, Sundays, Fridays, like sport day weekends was amazing. And we had
Oh
fun
my God.
every day, every day. And then if you wanted to get on the train or the bus or the Autobahn to go somewhere, to go to Frankfurt or go to Amsterdam or go to, like I went to Paris. Like I was on the Eiffel Tower at 20 years old, you know what I'm saying? So I saw a lot before I deployed, before I saw my eyes got open to the war and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun there. So, Germany, shout out to Germany.
Yeah, shout out to Germany. I still have a lot of friends that I'm like very close to from Germany. And speaking of deployments, as I don't know what it is, but like we with the people who we deployed because we had to like live with them, deal with the same losses, deal with the same grief and the same missions, and you just live there together. You combine your lives together, right? And then you live for the mission, for each other. But then when you come back, you don't share the same feeling anymore. Like I'm still in contact with the people, but we don't have this closeness anymore. I think it's because we had to bowl a lot of our feelings in, and then when we talk to each other, I feel like it just comes out a lot more. And but yeah, keeping in contact with the military people, right? Like your friends that you made along the route is just something. I don't know, it's like a bond. It's like a brotherhood and sisterhood bond that you have. Even like, look at us right now. You and I have never met.
Nope.
Yeah, but we can sit down, have a cup of tea, coffee, beer, whatever you drink,
Yeah.
whiskey,
Yeah.
and we can just, shoot the. I
Yeah.
don't know how much cussing you do in here, but
We drink some Hefeweizen.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yes,
yeah.
definitely, yes. Man, that's the beautiful part about joining the military, and the world is so small but also so big. So at the end of the day, like we can tell our stories, and we was there around the same time. Deployment, California deployment, I mean Germany deployment, and when I went to Iraq, 04, 05, we went to a place called Beiji, Iraq. So we drove from Kuwait to Iraq. The Big Red One had occupied a lot of AO around, I want to say, Baghdad, from Baghdad to Turkuk, no, to Tikrit, from Tikrit to like Beiji at that time, the Big Red One. And then I was field artillery. I was a 13 Fox fire supporter. So they dropped us in Kuwait, and we drove 36 hours, sandbags at our feet, soft, no doors, soft skin Humvees to Iraq. So it was a hell of an experience, And at 44 years old, I'll be 45 this year. Things that I went through, it all catapulted me to get to this point where I'm at right now, and always recognize and pay homage to the ones that died over there in Iraq, our women and men, what I'm saying, that lost their life there. And we were kids, leading kids into combat. So people don't understand that part right there. So before we get into the military part and stuff like that, let's talk about how you was as a little girl growing up in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Tell,
So,
tell me about it. I have you.
okay.
Matter of fact, I have you. So in this part of Florida, when they had that conflict between Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainians came this way, Sarasota, Florida, and my maid is Ukrainian, and I got a lot of friends that are Ukrainian. So let's talk about Ukraine.
So I grew up in communism, right? Yeah, so I was born in USSR, and at the time we actually lived in Russia, because a lot of Ukrainians, because the USSR and everything, and a lot of Ukrainians actually got the jobs in Russia. So my mom was going to medical school in Blagoveshchensk, which is on the border of China. So when I was like a little girl, we would just go across across the border to China, and just like go shopping over there at the little markets because
Right.
the border was barely open at the time, and I just kind of grew up just being a wild child and just being by myself and making friends and going out into the yard and just enjoying, like enjoying everything that's outside of the apartment that we lived in. Right? You had to become that very creative, creative in what do you do because we didn't have a lot of money. We were very poor, and then I don't know, like my grandfather served in the USSR military. I'm a grandfather's girl,
Yeah.
and so we moved to Savoy, which is in Ural Mountains, and that's when my mother met my sister's father, because they were working at the same hospital. My mom was a doctor, and then he was a doctor, and this is where we were living on the USSR economy, as in the doctors get their apartment provided for, right? But that apartment, the one part they didn't tell you is a shared bathroom on the floor with everybody else, and it's one room. It's they call it общежитие, which is it's literally one room, but it was so dangerous to go out at night that we actually had to pee in a bucket.
Mm.
So this is how I grew up. And then eventually we moved back to Ukraine, after like so they moved back to Ukraine. I moved with my grandfather. Moved in with my grandfather because they wanted to like get themselves settled in, and they didn't needed a teenager right there. You know, they because my grandfather's like, I'm gonna take her in. So I was basically my whole life just kind of bounced around all over the place, and my grandpa was always that my rock and always pulling me in and saying that nope, she's gonna come with me. And when the communism fell apart in '92, we moved back to Ukraine again. Well, I moved back to Ukraine. They were already there. And in Odessa, and then in Odessa, I was just again a wild child, a teenager. You know, back in the day, you can actually go to clubs as well
Yeah.
because you know that's the kind of tradition we grew up in, and have a little drink here and there. And 13 years old, right? And it was normal.
Right.
And but yeah, Odessa, Ukraine is my city. And
Odessa, Ukraine.
yeah,
Wow.
Odessa, Ukraine. And it's so beautiful there. If you ever go, you definitely have to go visit Odessa. It's the beach, you know, it's right on the Black Sea.
Mm.
There is the ladies are beautiful, and you know, there's a lot of tourism, a lot of actually I've been to Odessa back in 2017. I went back home, and it's just kind of a bit unrecognizable, but I do like it. I do like the all of the tourism boom that it's having. But it's just a big historical city.
Mm.
And then my mom met an American, and we moved to America. You know, she married him. We moved to America, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Cincinnati. Shout out to
Yeah,
Cincinnati. Yeah.
yeah. So from Odessa to Cincinnati, Ohio, it was kind of a bit of a shock.
Was it? But Cincinnati is still cold. Like, is Ukraine cold? Like Germany?
Yes, yes. Wintertime it gets cold. We don't have a lot of snow, but we do get snow, and it gets pretty cold. And actually, there's a phenomenon in on the Black Sea where the salt water meets the cold, and then we get like this huge ice blocks, like
Mm.
beautiful ice blocks on the shores.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a sight to see.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, the weather is really nice. Summertime is beautiful. It's hot in summer, so the best time I would say to go sometime in like late May, June will be the best. But so yeah, and you know what's interesting part? When I was in National Guard, when I was working in National Guard, so state of California has this thing it's a program called Rapid Trident,
Mm.
which is each state actually has a different countries. They call them sister countries. State of California sister countries, Ukraine and Nigeria. And so the Rapid Trident is when state of California was helping out to build up a Ukrainian National Guard. So we were sharing training, we were sharing resources. We had Ukrainian soldiers come here. We had California National Guard go to Ukraine, and that's all before the war.
Mm.
And that program started in 2015. And so once they found out that I speak the language, I'm from there, you know, this is my culture, I got to travel. I got to travel a lot to Ukraine with the military and actually teach the Ukrainian soldiers. And I got to go back in 2017. I got to go back to Odessa, to the military academy in Odessa. And I actually lived not far from the military academy, and I remember like every morning hearing like they're marching and doing all the cadence as
Right.
growing up, right?
Right.
And like actually going back there as a United States citizen, as wearing completely different military uniform, and teaching the young kids in Ukrainian military. That was to me that was just one thing that I will never forget.
Right. Look how that works, though. Look how God had that work out. I'm from California. I didn't know the sister countries were Ukraine and Nigeria, but look how that works, and look how you got connected and was able to go back and say, look what I did with myself. I'm from here. I used to go to the beach here. I used to go to school here. You guys remember me, my family, because y'all go off your last names like really thick out there, so people knew like your families and stuff like that. And that's really that I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my last name is Mainich.
Manage.
Yeah, so it's a very traditional Ukrainian last name, and so it means night in May.
Okay.
and there was a village. It still exists, but it's a very, very, very tiny village that I want to go back and visit
Okay.
eventually. But
Definitely.
yeah, so it's our last names kind of came from the regions that we came from, as in like the traditions that we came from. And have you heard of like Vyshavankas?
Bushavanka. No, I never heard of that.
Okay, so it's a embroidery shirt.
Okay.
So Ukrainian people are very, very big into their embroidery, and the embroideries represented what region of Ukraine they're from.
Okay.
So it's kind of it was a tradition, right? It was a ladies' tradition, and ladies will embroider their men's shirts like they'll be like right here, so that way it's like, oh, this is my man, right? We
Oh
have the same
wow.
embroidery.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a very traditional wear, and as in like very like just vyshivanka. We have their skirts, the belts. That there's a lot of big traditions. Like we have these big korali, which is it's a red coral necklaces,
Right.
and then they go like really really big, and so yeah, it's huge huge tradition and festivities and big family. That's what I
Right.
would yeah.
I love that. I love the traditions. So we got motivators. You guys hear what we talking about. We at the table. We breaking it down. We understanding where she come from. Ukraine, Los Angeles, military. So tell me, we're gonna get into our military part. Tell me what type of soldier you was in the military, and what experience that you go through in the army to get to where you at today.
Oh boy. What a tough question right there to there's Big Sarge.
Let's talk.
What kind of soldier was I? Well, I was a good soldier, but I was also a rebel in a way because, I was pushing my boundaries. And I like pushing boundaries because if you didn't push the boundaries within the military, then you pretty much not going to go anywhere,
Right.
right? And then I always took an opportunity. Like if an opportunity arose, like I was that volunteer, right? I
Mm,
was that soldier that raised your hand, even though they say like, do not raise your hand, do not volunteer for everything. But I wanted to because I every single time I volunteered, yeah, don't get me wrong, there's like some crappy details where you're picking grass out of cracks with a probably like scissors, right? But every time I volunteered, there's a new experience and there's a
right.
new people that I met. And it was that was my drive is to get those experiences because the military wasn't just an experience in like military itself. It was a cultural experience for me personally because I've been in America for only what 3 years before I joined the military. Barely
Right.
spoke any English. All of the English that you hear right now, it's all learned from the military, right? And former education.
Yeah.
And so I was always that eager one to go here or do this or do that and always try to be like supportive. And then the kind of leader that I became is the kind of like leader that soldiers will come to me with their problems.
Right.
And that was to me that was fantastic because I became a leader that I learned from a bad leadership what not to do.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and then when, like, right when I retire, there's a lot of soldiers were like really sad, and I'm sad. But it was time. It was time for me to go. I had to make the choice because between anxiety and PTSD and losing 56 people and then try to stay positive, just because you have a smile on your face, it does not mean that you do not see, like, you can see the battle scars, right?
right. Right.
Yeah.
Who would imagine all the stuff that we experienced as kids going to Germany and then all of a sudden, hey, knock knock, your time is up. You're getting ready to deploy to Iraq. What an experience. What fob was you at in Iraq?
I was in Baghdad.
You was in Baghdad. You was at
Yeah, I was Liberty. I was on Liberty in Baghdad.
Liberty.
Do you remember Signal Hill?
I'm not.
No.
The
Okay.
only thing I remember about Baghdad was driving through it. I remember Liberty and I remember Anaconda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in Baghdad. We worked at the Signal Hill because I was with a signal battalion, and we were part of the. Oh my God.
The retrans.
No, 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 no. We were. Oh my God. I can't even remember. Fourth ID. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Carson, Fort
Yeah.
Carson.
No, from Fort Lewis or
Fort Lewis.
JBLM. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
ADL. Okay, definitely.
Yeah. So because I was a WMD analyst, there's nothing for me to do in Iraq. Remember, there's nothing for a WMD analyst really to do in Iraq,
Tell me about
and
this.
it has been.
I don't know what that is. Tell me exactly what that
So
is.
CBRN, Chem
Oh,
Red Nuclear. Yeah.
chemical. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chemical. And but I had a signal background, so the brigade basically they're like, oh well, you have your security clearances, you have signal background, so here you're going to be brigade comsec custodian. So I became comsec custodian and delivered the keys to different fobs. So I went from Liberty to Taji, just kind of like back and forth all the time. And when I was delivering the keys, I would get the different means, like either by helicopter, go like on the helipad, seeing like what's available to get there, or if there's importance of delivering those communication keys, I would jump with engineers for their route clearance convoys because they will go to Taji all the time.
Right.
And so that's why I kind of like became like really good friends with engineers. And so that's why I would just usually just hop on with the guys, and hence where the
Yeah. Yeah.
PTSD is coming from.
Yeah.
Choices, choices,
Right.
choices.
Right. No, I get it. Those were some rough times back then too. Route Tampa, MSR Tampa, all of the all Irish, right out, route Irish, all these routes and stuff that we cleared from Baghdad all the way down to Spiker to Tikrit to Summerall and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with
Hmm.
the job and what you did, and even with the comms and the retrans and stuff like that. Because when they put us way out there, we could barely sometimes communicate with the battalions and the divisions because the comsex was always off, and we always had problems with our embedders and radios. But once we was able to talk and get everything situated, we can call in air. I was air support, so I was forward. You know what I'm saying? I'm out there with the 11 Bravos and scouts, kicking in doors, talking to air traffic upstairs, and talking to the mortars and stuff like that. So I get it. Tell me, how was you as a young leader in the military?
How was I as a young leader? Oh my God, I was terrible. Well, as a young sergeant, right, when I got promoted to sergeant while I was in Hawaii.
Okay.
So, which Hawaii itself was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
Hawaii's nice.
yeah, the only thing is like I did not deploy from Hawaii, but I got to go to different trainings like Philippines, and because I was with a signal unit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like they keep tossing me around the signal units. But as when I got promoted, I thought I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be this hardcore, right? I Then I just kind of realized the hardcore doesn't work, the smoking doesn't work. People start hating you, and I kind of start gearing towards a different direction and start listening to the troops, right? Start listening to what their needs are, start getting to know them really. And that's when we became like a really good cohesion. So I had a lot of turning like and learning points, and plus the language barrier at the time was pretty terrible. But yeah, it was, I would say I was a terrible leader at the very beginning.
Hey, no problem with that. Admitting that, being a terrible leader, but you learned. How did your soldiers taught you along the way, and how was they able to teach you and teach you how to love them and understand them? Because you was once a soldier too. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And that's one thing in military. As I moved up through ranks, and I've really learned how to support the troops, like how to truly be on their side, because you get to see so many leaders, so many like in the higher up leadership, like oh well, we should do this to them, or we should do that, we should do this. I was always on the soldier side. Like I was like, hold on a second. There must be an underlying issue of why this person did something, right? So let's sit down, let's talk to them before we do any adverse actions. So and even like whenever you see the troops are just not doing anything, right? Because our time sometimes like we get a mission and we'll be like sitting around like, oh my God, like hurry up and wait, right?
Yeah, hurry up and wait.
Yeah, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So I would literally will go and find out like, hey, what else do we need to do? If not, I'm releasing them.
Right.
Yeah, so I was always on their side, like, because I was that person that sat around and did nothing and hurry up and wait and just like twirling your thumbs, like, wow, I could be doing something useful right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that how you know what I'm saying, you related to them and you transition to like, you know what, let me love on them a little bit more. That's the type of leader I was. I would never tell my guys to do something that I couldn't do. There was a lot of leaders in the military that would tell you to, for instance, run 5 miles, but you can't even run 5 miles. You can't even do 5 push-ups. So I was that type of leader that I was up front with my guys. I was young enough too. So sergeant, staff sergeant, all under 25 years old. So I'm with my guys. Did three deployments to Iraq, leading these young 18, 19, 21, 22 year old men into war. They trust you. They believe you. You talk to their mothers, not why they before these guys was even married. Mothers. Sometimes you talk to a lot of wives, and they entrusted you to bring their son or their husband or their brother back. So I had a lot of responsibility as a young leader myself, and my guys loved me. We did things fun. I went against the grain. I was the rebel E6. I was the rebel E7. Hey, first, are we not doing that? We doing this. And at the end of the day, I had an argument because I was in shape. I could shoot. I could fight. I was good at my job. And it was like, okay, Sergeant McIntyre, he got 2 deployments underneath his belt. If he said this is happening, we're going to do this. But, I was able to transition out the military and, able to, when we're going to touch on this part right here, mental health pushed me out. Anxiety, depression pushed me out. Not being heard pushed me out. So much stress on the combat level. I had saw so much in my years. 3 deployments to Iraq, one mid team, Afghanistan to all these things. It's like it. When will it stop? And you think that you want to be tough, and it's okay not to say anything until it starts to break you down. And I got medical retired in 2016, and this is a part where we transitioned to how you was able to get in front of your ugly and talk about mental health. So let's talk about the ugly side of the military and the mental health part. Let's talk about when was your first time that you noticed something was wrong, and how did you get help, and where did you transition to?
So for oh my God, the ugly part, right? Sending like some shivers down my spine right now.
Yeah.
So the first time I noticed that something's wrong is when I was on the verge of a suicide, right after Iraq deployments, right? And I wasn't the one that noticed it. My first sergeant noticed it because I started withdrawing myself because I wasn't, I wasn't like the chipper self, like chipper and Sergeant Maynage, right? And so he's like, you need to go seek therapy. And then so I did. I did. It was very helpful. Got myself out of it. But then it got to the point where you just kind of become immune to it and you ball a lot of things up. And but I realized that I was carrying too much right before my retirement. Because one of the reasons decided to retire, because the National Guard, you can stay like 30 years, right? I could be like 60 years old still serving National Guard. But I realized when I was putting on my uniform, I was shaking. I was sitting in my closet. Look what are you doing to me?
Okay. Hey, listen, before you continue, this is a motivators table. Like, you do so much. Listen
Oh,
to me. You do
absolutely.
so much for everybody else. It's time for us to give back, and this is where you come. This is where the motivators come get motivated. You sit down at my table and you show your vulnerability. This is this,
Yeah.
this is this, my listeners. This is what they come on to see that, hey, you're not the only one. They think they out there. They only one. No, we got look at Miss Hannah. Look at what she was going to. So continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I it was in 2022. Yeah, 2022. When like I start putting on my uniform, right? And then every single time I put on my uniform, I'll be in a closet crying and shaking. And then so for the whole year, that's what I was doing. I was just trying to ball it up and then try to keep going and then keep going. By the way, I am 100% VA disabled.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you for your
And
service.
thank you for your service. And so that's when I decided, like in 23, I was working at NASA at the same time too. I had a pretty toxic leadership over there. That's another story for another time. And so I decided to, in 23, I was like, you know what? I can't handle this anymore. I'm already in therapy. I cannot put on a uniform anymore. I have to shed it. It's because what kind of leader am I going to be if every single time I'm putting this thing on and I'm shaking, right? And I couldn't put my soldiers through that because I was getting withdrawn myself. I was not, and then also I was not, because I am broken, like spine issues, all that stuff, medical. So I was not being there for them for like during the ranges. I wasn't there for them during like their exercises. I was that rear detachment sergeant, and I realized I was like, I cannot be that. I can if I cannot be out there with my soldiers, I'm not going to be in the military. So that's when I decided to get out, and that right after that, I left NASA. Then after that, I had no idea what I was doing. Kind of opened up my own business, and as a consulting, so I did like odd jobs here and there, and then I was a consultant. Well, I'm still am. I started my podcast.
Hey, congratulations on that. Yes.
Yeah. So the ugly part, okay, I have this analogy that I always talk about, like, and it's part of my speech actually. It's the war bag analogy. It's a big green ugly duffel bag with a clip on top of. Now they come with zippers.
Be the A and B bag.
And yeah, so it's because the military issues you gear, everything else, right? They don't tell you that you're going to be stuffing anxiety into that bag. They'll be stuffing like a lot of responsibility as a young kid into that bag. And then it's basically you go through life with this one big war bag because you go through different battles, not physical ones, but the mental ones as well. You have battles with your family, you have battles, through the military, you have battles like road rage battles or anything else,
Yes.
monetary battles, right? And every single battle, that's something that you put into your bag. But the way for you to like not to get this bag to be exploded when shit hits the fan, right, is for you to really take a look inside of this bag once in a while and evaluate one thing at a time. Do not tackle everything at once. Do not just start digging in and like tossing everything out of there. Do not, and then look at what needs to be in there and then what needs to be put out. And it's okay to burn some bridges in a way.
Right.
So the war bag is something we carry with us and something always going to be there. And then certain things that I still want to keep in that bag because like every single troop that I lost to either, in Iraq, Afghanistan, or, you know,
Science.
part of the 22 club.
Yeah.
And so they're still in this bag. And I
Right.
want to keep them in there because I want to remember every single person that I have lost.
Right.
So, see,
And
some
we,
things you take out, some things you put in.
and I appreciate you for sharing that because I feel the same way. That's why I created certain avatars. Like when I was doing security bodyguard, I was tactical JR, and I would hide myself into that silhouette because, you know, I still remember and I never will forget, you know, the 25, men that died on my combat tours. And, now that I'm speaking and I'm number 44 in the world and I'm traveling and I'm globally, people don't understand that that's all cool. But for me to speak was for me to heal myself after my bankruptcy, for all the trauma I've been through in Iraq and Afghanistan, for all the trauma I had growing up, I had to create the Hood Motivator. And I had to get in front of my ugly. And I had to tell my story of my mom dying of AIDS and living on Skid Row and heard crack addiction, abuse, and 12-step programs, and seeing all my family members gang bang and all that stuff, and there was no way out. I was able to figure it out and leave. And my dad, he was frustrated with me, so he made me homeless. And me living, in my car and sleeping on park benches until I got into the military, went to jail, and all the ugly stories that make you who you are now, Hannah. And everything that you went through as losing all your friends and coming from Ukraine and, navigating the English language through the military. This military, we talk differently. They cuss a lot. They jokes, or people don't get their jokes. We get our own jokes. We laugh at them. But some people think they're very cruel. But you made it to this point, and I know before we started the podcast, all the ugly stuff that you went through, you were able to go through that also with the security world and still figure out how to activate your gift. And your gift, you was telling me that you want to speak. So tell me about that. Tell me, how did you come upon wanting to be a motivational speaker, life coach, and how can I help you?
Oh, well, you can help me. We can talk offline on that one. I have ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
I came to that is because I believe every single story matters. Every single person matters, right? Everybody has something to say, have something to put to the table. And when I speak to the crowd, I don't want to speak to every single one of those people. I want to speak to that one person who needed to hear at that one day, at one time, right? And when I start sharing my stories, because I'm actually start working on a book about 3 years ago. I started my book when all of this stuff was happening, and when I decided to start burning bridges, and I was kind of like, I don't have a story. My story is just like everybody else's, right? But then I started start digging into, and then talking to people, and they're like, no, you need to share your story. You need to share your story, how it is to be a foreign woman with an accent in a military. Also, I haven't been married while I was in the military either. So, and that's when it really just sparked something in me. I can share my story. Like, I can be out there and actually get people motivated, and then listening to that one person that needed to hear at the time.
Right.
And I had so many people come back to me and saying that, thank you. Like, thank you. You changed my mind. You changed my life. And I didn't even realize that. And I wasn't out there to like really change their lives, because it's what they took out of it, what they took from that story. And then they could relate to this, or they have a buddy or a gal who can relate to this. And that's why I was like, you know what? One story at a time, one war bag at a time, we're gonna change people's lives.
Definitely. And that's why I wanted to put you on the motivators table. You reached out to me. You was like, hey, I like your podcast. You want to be on mine? I was like, how about you be on mine? I got a slot for you. Let's figure this thing out. Let's get in front of your ugly. Let's activate your gift. Let's tell your story. I started speaking professionally after my bankruptcy, before my master's in 2022. I spoke for free for 4 years. And I traveled and I put out all this content to save my life. Now I woke up in January of 2025 and I was ranked top 50 motivational speakers because I'm telling my story, because I'm getting in front of my ugly. I told everything. I was embarrassed of a lot of things that I went through. And now God was like, hey, you have to be able to tell your testimony, because you don't know. You can reach out to that one person in the crowd. That one person might touch millions of people. I'm getting ready for a TED Talk. I got all these things transitioning for me this year because I was able to say, you know what? Let me tell my story. And at the end of this year, I never saw nobody like me like this. At the end of this year, I graduated with my doctorate in business because I was able to grind and tell my story and do what I need to do. Even though I go through trials and tribulations, I go through anxiety, I go to depression, post traumatic stress, TBI, I forget things, my back, my migraines, my hand, everything. But guess what? There, there's somebody out there that's struggling harder than you, and you want to show them that, hey, you can do this too. And that's what my motivators table is about. It's about showing the people that you can struggle. You know, we right now on social media, we only hit the highlights. You know what? Be an entrepreneur, get this mansion, get this Ferrari, every life is good, 800 credit score. No, for veterans, it's not like that. We get out and we still trying to find a way. We gave our whole life, young life, to the military, and when we get out, we got to start over. And some people, some of the circles that we hop in, people don't deserve. They don't think that we deserve to be there because we didn't start with them, not knowing that we was protecting this country, and we rather. If I'd had to do it all over again, I'd rather continue to do what I did for my country and come out on this because guess what? It doesn't matter how you start; it's how you finish. And I was able to transition after failing in business and being a veteran entrepreneur because we don't talk about the negative. We don't talk about the dark days. We don't talk about, hey, I wasn't able to hit payroll on days. I had a security company. Yeah, I had a lot of clients, but I didn't know what I was doing with my ROI. I didn't know what I was doing with my QuickBooks. You know what I'm saying? And then I learned that after I failed and went to get my MBA and learned business because I didn't know the language of business. I knew hustling. So now, like as a veteran, combat veteran, that say, you know what, almost checked out 4 times and say, you know what, this ain't for me. I tried to give my all. This world, like I want to go see my mom. My mom is she been dead since 1994. So that's how I talk to myself. But at the end of the day, this is who we are. This is why God put us on this earth to inspire. And I always, every time I get on the stage, I said, "Are you not entertained? Are you not inspired? This is why we here. Because my story is your story and her story, and we're gonna continue to tell these stories." I was able to put out 2 books last year. I was able to put out The Elephant in the Room, and it tells about every room I walk in. I'm the elephant. And then I was able to put out From the Block to the Board on Amazon. And in February, I put out my 3rd book. It's called A Good Heart Don't Pay Bills. It talks about the rise and the fall of my security company, and how I put a lot of people in position, and when I felt nobody was there, and talks about the court cases. It talks about the betrayals, everything like that. So stay tuned, chat. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I have a book that's dropping February 15th on my father's birthday called A Good Heart Don't Pay Bills. And when you expressed to me that you wanted to be a speaker, I was like, you know what? I can help you. I can help my fellow veteran. I can show you the things that people didn't show me, and I could put you in these rooms. And if you come to my events, I could point you to the people that's been putting me in position. And I will tell you this: log on today on my stream. I will be doing a marketing summit with Los Angeles Tribune, so you can pick up some tidbits on your podcast and everything like that. It's streaming around the world. This is Los Angeles Tribune. I'm a keynote speaker tonight on their streaming. It's on my LinkedIn if you want to get all the information. And I'm gonna tell you like this. This is where we come to the part to where I pour into you. So hold your cup up. Hold an empty cup up. Okay, no, an empty cup. Empty, empty in your hands. Peter Pan it with me. Now dump it out, whatever that's in there. Dump it now, hold it up. I'm gonna tell you something. You're special. You brave. Thank you for coming on my streams. Thank you for coming on my podcast. Thank you for just being vulnerable with my motivators because that's what we need to see. We're tired of seeing everything, the glitz and the glamour, the peaches and the creams. I never had anything that had peaches and creams in it. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you coming from, Ukraine and fighting for another country. But at the end of the day, you telling your story. Who would have known? Who would have known that a little girl from Ukraine would be such an awesome person like you are today? Who would have known that you'll be living in the city where I was born and raised, and you're still contributing and pouring into? I'm proud of you. Don't give up and keep fighting. Keep fighting uphill. I know that sometimes you have a lot of dark days. Guess what? You got a friend now that you can text, that you can call, that you can DM and say, "Hey JR, can you talk to me?" Well, I'm on the East Coast time, so you West, so just let me know. Tap in with me, and I can't wait to be a guest on your podcast. And thank you for telling your story. Get in front of your ugly and activating your gift. And motivators, this is what it is. We only bring the real motivators to the table. You see what she's been doing. You see how she was able to transition and love her soldiers because she understood them. You see how she was able to go back to Ukraine and say, you know what? I came from the Black Sands. This is who I am. You see what she's doing now, and now she's about to enter another field, which is public speaking and life coaching. And I guarantee you, Hannah, there are girls, there are boys, men and women out there that can't wait to hear your voice. Let's activate it. Stop hiding behind that screen. You have a voice. Stop saying you're not enough. You are more than enough. You are more precious than rubies. And I thank you for coming on the Motivators Table. I want you right now to leave everybody with your social medias, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your YouTube, and then give us a motivational quote since you are transitioning to be a motivational speaker. Let's go.
Okay, so my podcast is Beyond the SOP, Beyond the Standard Operating Procedures. It's choosing what matters when life goes to shit. And we can post all my other socials, and it's Zanime on YouTube. And that, like I said, that's another story for another time how I actually got on YouTube.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm going to leave you is I don't teach coping strategies. I talk about what actually happens when life breaks and how to choose what still matters. What you need to choose, what to keep in your war bag, and what to take out and burn a couple bridges along the way.
I love that. Can you say that one more time? Yeah, I love it. No, I love it. They need to hear it one more time. Yes.
Okay. I don't teach coping strategies,
Yes.
right? I talk about what actually happens when life breaks and how to choose what still matters, what to keep in your war bag, and what to take out of your war bag. One item at a time and burn the bridge along the way.
I love it. Boom. You heard what she said. Motivators mount up. This is why we do what we do. We make sure that we understand that we get the right people at the motivators table with the Hood Motivator, JR, Dr. McIntyre, loaded 2026. I wouldn't have it no other way. Thank you for coming on my show. Thank you for just allowing me to, conversate with you and take up your time. You're in California right now. What time is it? About 1 o'clock, right? 12:56.
Yes, 1256.
12:56. I appreciate you so much. What I need you to do right now is say motivators mount up. Say that with me.
Motivators. Oh,
Mount,
we're saying it together, right?
say
Okay.
it like that. Go ahead.
On one,
Motivate.
two, three.
Yeah. One, two, three. Motivate.
Motivators,
Mount
mount
up.
up.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, community. Thank you, chat. Thank you, motivators. Thank you, new followers. Thank you, old followers. And we out. Boom.